Hi, hello, and good morning. Now, I do want to say a big thank you to everyone who's been following me recently on YouTube. I've now reached 200 subscribers. It's only took me 10 years. um, but Rome was not built in a day, and it's still not finished. It's one of the things I always seem to say. So, what I'm trying to do is stay as still as possible, because I think that's the only way that the video feed will be more clearer, and also the volume as well. I'm not moving around so much. The image won't be distorted. Hello, good morning. So Tuesdays were the day that I was going to look at doing like a tea and chat day at different times throughout the day, as I do appreciate that not everyone is available at the same time. Now, I think it's really important that people have the opportunity to have somebody to speak to, or sort of confide in. And I know obviously doing that on social media isn't always the best way or the best option, and again, obviously, due to confidentiality, private messaging is an option. But sometimes, it's just nice to have somebody to kind of like be there for you, or just to sort of reassure you that you're not alone. Now, a lot of what I've been talking about recently has obviously sparked a lot of interest, because inevitability, because it's been in social media so much more recently than, say, previously. Again, it's something that I've been speaking about, been talking, about my personal life, my personal experiences, because it's still what I would class as quite a taboo subject. And people don't always like to talk about certain things that are happening in their lives, which is fine, because at the end of the day, it's your life, it's your decision. But I don't see why people should have to struggle or suffer in silence. Now, one of the things that obviously I have had experience with over the several years or more of my life is obviously reaching out for help. Okay, to make that first step to admit that you need somebody to help you is really, really hard. But then getting the help as well can be even harder, because anyone, just like myself, I have reached out to these organizations which are supposed to be there for people, ran by people, for people, by the people. Very American, very damn it, that president, I always forget, President Lincoln. 7 years ago, our forefathers, etc., etc. Well, the problem I think we still have in the United Kingdom is that we are no longer united, in my opinion. That's just my opinion. We used to be what, like the British Empire. We used to be absolutely amazing. But now all we are is a warehouse and distribution centre. We do not, as far as I am aware, really produce anything in the UK anymore. And yet everybody wants to live here. And we could talk to the end of the world about, people's views and opinions on immigration, etc. But at the end of the day, a lot happens at the end of the day. It shouldn't be about that. It should be about you. And I know that sounds quite selfish to say that, but the way I look at it is, and I know it's maybe not the right way to look at life, is if you can't help yourself, how can you help anyone else first? Hello, good morning. So I'm not sure what you want me to talk about today, or if you have anything you want to ask me, please feel free to do so. I will be here for about an hour. No, not yet. And I think that is the problem, that people forget that it's okay to be what people would call selfish, to put yourself first. Because I've done the whole, putting others before me. I've done the whole people-pleasing thing. I've done the whole, it didn't matter what time of day or that my employers have rung me. I've been there. And a prime example of that was a young gentleman on the bus once. He was speaking to his partner, telling them that he couldn't wait to see them. He was on the bus, on his way to see them. And then he told them how much he loved them, which I thought was absolutely adorable. And then he put the phone down and he got a phone call from work. And they said, "We need you to come in." He was like, "Yep, I'll be there." He then had to re-ring his partner to tell them that he wasn't going to be coming to see them now because he's been asked to go into work. And because he was on a 0-hour contract of employment, he had to take whatever shift he was given. So he then got off the bus, which he'd just paid for a bus pass, to go and obviously work somewhere near to where he lived. And I think that's absolutely devastating, because I was there sitting on the bus and thinking, 10 years ago, that was me. That was me. That was me cycling to work in a snowstorm. That was me catching 3 buses to get to work. That was me catching 5 trains. That was me cycling 12 miles. That was me ringing my employer from hospital because I had collapsed and being told, "I don't care if you're in hospital. If you don't turn up for work in the next 5 minutes, you're fired." And it is really kind of, upsetting and devastating to think that, I'm 40 now. And my first place that I worked in Nuneaton was Topper's Chip Shop. Not a topless chip shop. Okay, God, the amount of times people have said to me, "You worked in a topless chip shop." No, I worked for Topper's. Has closed. They were my first employer. They were one of the longest standing businesses in Nuneaton to run. They even refurbished and redesigned the business to make it more manageable. They were on Just Eat, they were on Deliveroo, etc., so that they didn't have to worry about footfall of people actually coming into the chip shop to sit down for a meal or take food away. Their biggest competitor was McDonald's, who were literally like, there's the chip shop, there's McDonald's. And I'm 40 now, and I worked for them when I was 16, and they've now closed. And to think that everybody, hello, good morning, that everyone I still worked with hadn't even reached retirement age at Topper's in Nuneaton. They are probably 60 and over, or 50 and over. So they've still not reached retirement age yet in the UK. And now they've all got to go and find new jobs. These are people that have dedicated their lives to working at one establishment for the last, I'm 40, I worked there when I was 16. So if I say 20 and then for the last, say, 30 years of their lives, they've worked at the same employer. And now they've got to go and get a new job. They can't retire. They can't even take early retirement, or like even the redundancy pay they're going to get isn't going to be enough for them to retire, trust me. Okay, these are people that are working for national minimum wage, 40 hours a week plus, you know. And to me, it's just really devastating that in the UK, not only are we not looking after the future generation and like supporting them and inspiring them and educating them to be the best they can be, we're then not looking after the working generation and all the people that fall through the gaps and aren't even entitled to benefits or support. Over to the United Kingdom and living here is going to be the best solution for them. I mean, I had the privilege to go to Rome when I was younger, and I met this woman. She was truly inspirational because I would have only been in my 20s at the time. And she told me she was a full-time single mother of 2 boys. She didn't own a home, she rented it. And at the time, I found that quite sad that she didn't own her home. But then she said, to her, in a way, it was a blessing to not be a homeowner. And after the way I've seen so many homeowners and elderly people that now need support be treated, I can see why she didn't want to be a homeowner. But at the moment, renting in the UK is more expensive than having a mortgage. And people are expected to pay slum landlords because they're forced into the private sector because there's not enough social housing available. And at the moment, a 2-bedroom house in my hometown without parking is £1,000 a month. I don't know anyone who is earning £1,000 a month plus in order to afford to rent a house, who isn't getting some sort of support or financial aid. And those that are able to be paying £1,000 a month rent, why are they not being entitled to a mortgage? I mean, why should I or anyone in this country, the house I currently live in, I know how much my landlord paid for it. He paid £32,000 for this house. I've been here 8 years. 8 years of paying £700 a month plus rent. Do the maths. I have brought this house, give or take. And it's not just me. There are so many people in the same situation. So, like I have said, I would love to go back to work, but I'm not going to go back to work like most people and line my landlord's pocket with £1,000 a month, busting my ass for a national minimum wage job. Not when 10 years ago, I used to work above national minimum wage. I used to work 6 days a week, 8 to 12 hours a day at £10 an hour. I loved my job. The only reason my job stopped working for me was because the government decided to cut the art and media industry budget for the educational system and higher education. And I was like, at the time I was on maternity leave, and they basically said, look, we can't afford to re-employ you when you come back. And then unfortunately, after having my child, my health just deteriorated to the point where I'm lucky if I can leave the house for 1 to 2 hours a day. And to go from somebody who was so spontaneous, so active, somebody who would just get on a plane and go and work in the south of France for 3 months, to somebody who is scared shitless to even open their front door to the postman. It's like they're totally two different people. They're not the same person. And one of the things that I finally got diagnosed with was EUPD, which is a form of multi-personality disorder. I don't have schizophrenia and I'm not bipolar. But since suffering with PTSD, which is post-traumatic stress disorder, apparently my brain has somehow managed to compartmentalize the trauma that I've endured. And the only way it can cope with that is by having these different personalities. And the problem with that is I don't know who I am one day to the next. All I know is that I'm very angry and I'm very bitter. And I just feel very alone and isolated because of it. Right, I'm going to have to go because I think my little boy's just arrived. So I will tune back in later. Remember, you're not alone and don't suffer in silence. Thank you.